I wonder what we are really interested in, each one of us. Probably health, probably, if you're rather old, getting one foot in the grave, fear of death, but also when we are very young, sex, and we have no jobs, no vocation, which is becoming more and more imitation. What are we really interested in, profoundly, for which you are willing to give a great deal of one's energy, vitality, and serious intention? How far would we go in carrying out or pursuing something very, very serious in life? Are we all becoming very, very superficial? Never asking any serious, demanding questions. What is it all about, the whole world? Why we behave as we do? Why isn't there peace in the world? I'm sure we've all asked all these questions of ourselves, probably. And we find no answers for them. Or if we do, according to some tenets, some philosophy, some kind of acceptance of a system. Apart from all this, what is one really interested in? If we ask ourselves that question, do you ever find an absolute answer? Or is it all relative? If one is unhappy, one wants to be happy. Insecurity, physically, biologically, then one seeks a form of security. And fighting class differences, all that thing that's going on in the world. What is our answer to all this? These very demanding problems. Do you ever stick to one thing and pursue it to the very end? We talked about the other day about health, which is naturally very important. How can a body be healthy if one has abused from one's youth, alcohol, tobacco, drugs, the whole medical process of keeping the body healthy? Or you do some kind of exercise, jogging along for 10 miles or 5 miles. Or you do some kind of yoga. May I use that word? And become rather fanatical about yoga. At one time in India, yoga was taught only to the very, very, very few. It was not a money-making concern. Now it has become a big business. I hope you don't mind my telling all this. And one is concerned about one's health. I think health comes when there is self is not. When the ego is not tremendously active. It's like beauty. When the self is not, the beauty is. When the ego, with its self-centered activity, is not, there is great good health. And also, we have many, many psychological problems. Apart from physical problems. We have no houses to live in, only live in a flat, in a town or big cities, living in drawers, as it were. And that too has a great strain on the body, and so on. How do all these economic problems, which are really devastating the world, each country concerned with its own economic problem, its own security, armaments and all the rest of it. How can each country separate itself from the rest of mankind? And the mankind now is, the population is increasing by the million. In India, every year, there are 15 million people are born. That's the population of Holland and Australia. 15 million people. Unemployed, poverty. You understand all this? Surely all these problems, class warfare, ideological warfare, can only end when we all become really civilized. That is, when we are not attached to any particular part of the country, when we are not nationally, religiously divided, but treat the whole world as our world. And then there'll be no barriers. I'm sure as we talk to some of the scientists, the whole of humanity can be fed properly, housed, clothed, and all the rest of it. If we can abolish war, all the terrible instruments of war. But we are not civilized, I'm afraid. We are too barbarous. And so none of the problems, physical problems, are being ever solved. And the question arises, if there are half a dozen people in the world who have really transcended, gone beyond the self, which is the highest form of civilization, culture. What effect will they have on the rest of humanity? Right? This is a question that has been asked over and over again. You perhaps change radically, fundamentally, utterly free from all the idiocy of mankind. What effect will it have on the rest of the world, on the mass as it's called? Will it have any effect? Don't you ask all these questions? Would it be right question to ask, what effect will it have? Are we changing because of the effect? Or we are changing deeply, profoundly, because per se, for itself, for its own beauty, for its own strength and love and compassion and all that. And if we do, perhaps half a dozen or dozen people in the world, surely it will affect the whole of consciousness of mankind. As Napoleon affected the whole of the world, and so on, and the religious teachers, the really real religious teachers, not the phony ones, have affected the consciousness of mankind. We should bear all this when we say to ourselves, if I do change, how will it affect my neighbor, the mass of people? I think that's a wrong approach to the question. One loves not because of something, not because one is going to affect the world or your neighbor, but that very quality of the perfume, the depth of it and the beauty of it, will have its own results without each one wanting a result. So we better tackle these questions. There are 7 of them this morning. I don't know if we can answer all of them. Why do we put questions? We should. But to whom are we putting these questions? I know, speaker knows, because he has received a lot of letters from all over the world. They want to talk to somebody. They can't talk to their wives or to their husbands or to somebody with whom they are familiar, but they want to talk to somebody about their problems, their jobs, their quarrels and all those things that make life so utterly miserable. And so one writes letters, long letters. You shouldn't write letters to the speaker. But as it is not possible to talk over together, each one of us separately, can we not look for another to help us, but have that strength, that quality which resolves our own problems. I know it's nice to talk to somebody, to tell of our pain, our depressions, our anxieties, our ambitions. And in that talk, in that conversation, it might help one. And when we ask questions, how do we approach a question? Not only the questions which you ask for ourselves, but also if you ask these questions, how do you approach a question? How do you approach a problem? The word approach means come very near, come as close as possible to the question or to the problem. In what manner do we approach? You understand the English meaning of that word? To come very, very, very close. I approach you. How do we approach these questions? Not only the questions that have been put to the speaker, but also to any problems, any questions that we have. How do we come near it? Are we first concerned with the solution of the problem? You understand my point? Suppose I have a problem. My concern then is to find a solution to the problem. Right? But the solution may lie in the question itself. You understand? We'll go into this. Shouldn't we approach the problem with a tentatively, hesitantly, and if you have a motive, then the motive directs the problem. Clear? Right. Is this clear? We are discussing this together, the questions, how to approach the question. Could we approach it without a motive first? Because if you have a motive, it has already set a direction to the question. Right? Is it clear, isn't it? If we have any kind of direction, which is the solution, then we have already limited it. Right? So could we approach a problem without a motive, without seeking a solution for it? Or wanting the problem to be solved according to our pleasure and pain? Could we approach the problem without any reaction? Which is going to be very difficult, because when we have a problem, we react to it instantly. Right? So could we have a gap, a sense of not having any motive, any direction, like or dislike? Then you can look at the problem, right? Not project your own wishes, your own desires, right? Then you can look at the problem, study the problem, go into the problem. And in the understanding of the problem, the solution is there, not outside the problem. Right? We talked to some of the politicians about this. I know they're lost people, but we talked to them. They said, all this takes too long. We have to resolve our problems immediately because they are starving, there are people who are terrorists, and so on. They never go to the cause of things, you understand? They want quick, all of us do, not the politicians only. All of us want a quick, immediate, convenient answer. If one has a headache, as most people apparently do, we never find out why it arises. What's the cause of it? But what we do is take a pill quickly. But the cause is there. So to investigate the cause, go into it very, very deeply, requires a brain that is not reacting all the time, defending, attacking, aggressive. You follow? It must have the quality of pliability, quickness. But the quickness comes when there is patience. Patience is not time. Patience is the quality of brain that's looking, watching. I want to see all this, right? So, here are some questions. Some friends have chosen these questions. They have shown me all the questions. But they chose this one. I haven't seen them. Nor have you seen them, right? So let's both of us approach it without motive, without any kind of reaction, like or dislike, but just listen to the question first, so that your answer, or rather the solution, will be real, not just fancy, imaginative, illusory, right? So you and the speaker are going to approach this question hesitantly, without any motive, without any reaction, right?